Who wants to learn today? Let's learn about the bullshit that we're supposed to learn about. Right? I, I don't like doing the conspiracy thing. I don't watch other people. Like I guess I do. I watch My Lunch Break. Got to give that dude a lot of credit. I watch what's that guy's Resolute Orbis or what? I don't know his name. He's got the yellow picture. I watched that guy. I should learn that guy's name and give him credit for shit. Um, I watch that. I watch Mind Unveiled. I watch those channels, and I've come to accept or believe or whatever that Tartaria is the greatest distraction that they give us, mainly because it's true. Like I absolutely believe in it, and I believe we're being lied to and blah blah blah, history, this, that, reset, blah blah blah. I believe all that stuff. But I also believe that until we unify and overthrow the Jews that control the narrative, we're never going to have the truth that we all want. So all of the real truth about Tartaria, you know, all we know is what they allow us to know. There's literally like nobody is everybody uses the system to get its information, uh like My Lunch Break is still using the system they give us to debunk the system. And because the system is it's too big to fail, so to speak, it doesn't even really matter. You can do that. But that's what I prefer to do. I highly suggest you go to the My Lunch Break channel. You go to the God, why can't I think of the fucking name? You know what? There's a lot of them. His channel is Lucius Aurelian, champion at football. What up, champion at football? We're sitting here. We're going to learn about the Dead Sea Scrolls today. Hang on one sec. Sorry about that. So the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm doing swell. How are you? Well, personally, I guess I'm doing okay, but I don't understand how anybody is doing good in the world. There is genocide happening right now. If you're good in a genocide world, something's not right with you, And again, it's the same people committing the genocide that are keeping us in this stupid bubble of ours. They're fucking with us. They're tricking us. Fuck, hang on. And this is what we need to understand. We need to get through this. We need to question everything. I'm gonna look up the Dead Sea Scrolls and try to figure it out. I want to know what they want us to know. Hang on. Jesus Christ. Okay, so the Dead Sea Scrolls, also called the Qumran Caves Scrolls, are a set of ancient Jewish manuscripts from the Second Temple period. They were discovered over a period of 10 years between 1946 and 1956 at the Qumran Caves near Ilinka in the West Bank, on the northern shore of the Dead Sea. Loki, what's happening? That'd be cool if you were Pat. Dating from the 3rd century BCE. So this is -3 to the 1st century CE. So -3 to +4, or to +1. Now, remember that there's no year 0. So it goes -3, -2, -1, +1. So I guess it's only a 4-year period. It's all pretty dumb, really. It's really, really dumb. Hang on. Um, the Dead Sea Scrolls include the oldest surviving manuscripts of entire books later included in the biblical canons, along with extra biblical and Deuteronical manuscripts from late Second Temple Judaism. So basically, it's just sort of confirming the idea that Christianity is Jewish. It's just the religion for the peasants. So until you sort of wrap your head around that shit, where you understand that the Jews are who is controlling everything, you're going to have trouble with this. You're going to have trouble breaking through. So at the same time, they cast new light on the emergence of Christianity and of Rabbinic Judaism. Can't wait to get through this. I want to know how this works. Almost all of the 1,500 scrolls and scroll fragments are held in the Shrine of the Book at the Israel Museum located in Jerusalem. Ah, look, they control everything. Go figure. Hey, Alpin B, nobody speaks that ching chong here. Sorry. Gail, what's happening, Gail? The Israeli government's custody of the Dead Sea Scrolls is disputed by Jordan and the Palestinian Authority on territorial, legal, and humanitarian grounds. They were mostly discovered following the Jordanian annexation of the West Bank and were acquired by Israel after Jordan lost the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, which wasn't a war. Whilst Israel's claims are primarily based on historical and religious grounds, given their significance in Jewish history and in the heritage of Judaism. So, basically, because the Jews are more important than we are, than anybody else is, than especially you Christians are, it really doesn't matter, you know, what bullshit is happening, right? It doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter what we do. The Jews are more important, so they get what they want. This is important stuff for Judaism, so we get it. Material: parchment, papyrus, and copper, written on copper. Writing: mostly Hebrew, but also Aramaic and Greek. So again, this idea of Hebrew is not a new language, or is not an old language. Hebrew is the newest language spoken on this planet. They just tell you, oh yeah, there was this ancient Hebrew too. Yeah. And then the people stopped speaking it. And then the guy, Yehuda, Ben Yehuda, he reinvented it by putting a mirror next to Arabic and basing it off of Arabic. You know, I highly encourage people to watch my videos. Go back and watch my videos. Watch the ones where I read you the history they want us to know. And just see how unbelievable it all is. Especially the stuff with the year that we're in, why it's 2024, and you know, all that shit. It's so much deeper than you think it is. Many thousands of written fragments have been discovered in the Dead Sea area. They represent the remnants of larger manuscripts damaged by natural causes or through human interference, with the vast majority holding only small scraps of text. Yet, you know, those ingenious Jews, somehow they were able to put it all together, and it just happens to fucking be their shit. It just happens to be super important as far as the Jewish history goes, and they just happen to put it together like a big fucking puzzle. Isn't that awesome? Seriously. This is the shit you, like I said before, you believe that the earth is round, you believe in Jesus, you believe this coming up election is really important, I gotta get out there and vote. You know, you believe the Holocaust, the Nazis, and you believe all that shit. So you have to believe this. No matter what this says, this is what the same people that tell you all the other shit tell you is the truth. So because they say it's true, it has to be true, according to you. Excuse me. However, a small number of well-preserved and nearly intact manuscripts have survived, fewer than a dozen among those from the Qumran caves. Researchers have assembled a collection of 981 different manuscripts discovered in 1946, 47, and in 1956, just a year before Israel was established. Isn't that crazy coincidental? It's almost like it's not real. Discovered from 1946 to 47 and 40 from 11 caves which lie in the immediate vicinity of the Hellenistic Jewish settlement at the site of the illegal settlement held at the site of Kibbert Humran. Isn't the K and H sound or some shit like that? In the eastern Judea desert in the West Bank. So, in this weird area where it's almost like everything was destroyed, and you have this desert that really shouldn't be there. Why is there a desert there? They supposedly found all these fragments. How do a bunch of fragments, how do they get destroyed in a way that they're separated into a bunch of pieces, thousands of pieces, but then you can put it back together and it's still kosher? How does that work? Like if it burns, then a bunch of it's going to burn. Other than somebody ripping them, how else would they, how does that work? And because they put it together, they decide what it says. So, the caves are located about 1.5 kilometers, 1 mile, west of the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea, whence the scrolls derive their name. Whence? Whence? I don't know how many other Jack Benny fans there are out there, but whence is a whole Jack Benny bit. You know. Archaeologists have long associated the scrolls with the ancient Jewish sect known as the Essenes, although some recent interpretations have challenged this connection and argue that priests in Jerusalem or other unknown Jewish groups wrote the scrolls. Well, it's got to be Jews. It's got to be Jews. You know the Jews that didn't write anything down back then? You know, the Jews that are the reason why, up until later in history, supposedly, all Jewish tradition, all Jewish history was oral tradition and oral history? Gosh, that's weird. Except for the Dead Sea Scrolls that they just happen to write down. That goes against their whole narrative, but hey, why not? Right? Because stupid guy says something. That doesn't make it true. From whence it came. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. All right. Most of the manuscripts are written in Hebrew, with some written in Aramaic, for example, the Son of God text, in different regional dialects, including Nabatean, and a few in Greek, which makes sense, right? I mean, you're going to write all your same scrolls. The Jews are going to write them in all these different languages. They're going to write certain scripts in this language and certain scripts in that language because that makes sense. Discoveries from the Judean... How come the Greek ones aren't then Greek property? How do we know Jews wrote them in Greek? You know, the Jews that didn't write shit down back then. Discoveries from the Judean desert add Latin from Masada and Arabic from Hibert el-Murd. Yeah. Most of the texts are written on parchment, some on papyrus, and one on copper. Why wouldn't it be written on copper? Come on. How many... like, seriously, who of us hasn't written something on copper at least twice this week? Though scholarly consensus dates the Dead Sea Scrolls to between the 3rd century minus 3 BCE and the 1st century CE plus 1, there are manuscripts from associated Judean desert sites that are dated between the 8th century and 11th century BCE minus. We got some more minus dates here, people. We got the minus dates. I mean, the 8th century and 15th century or 11th century BCE. So we're talking about some that are 3,000 years old. Fuck yeah, we got them, dude. What's up? Why would you ever question that? Why would anyone question what they're given in these scenarios? Like, what, you know, doesn't all this sound totally reasonable? It's 3,000 years old and we can read it. 3,000-year-old parchment papers. That were found just before Israel was founded. They survived in some caves forever until Israel was about to be founded, and then these Jewish manuscripts just show up on parchment paper that still exists. Parchment paper, sweetheart. Right? Bronze coins found at the same sites form a series beginning with John Hyrcanus, a ruler of the Hasmonean kingdom in office from 135 to 104 minus. I always love the idea of ancient coins, right? Because nobody really talks about it, but we really don't seem to care like how these coins were made. What mint did they have back 2,000 years ago making coins? Detailed coins that last forever. Like, isn't it strange to you? It's strange to me. Do you ever think about it, or are you just like, yeah, no, they made coins. Why fucking not? Coins are easy to make. Blacksmith made. Jesus Christ. All right. So, The Hasmonean, and continuing until the period of the First Jewish-Roman War from 66 to 73 CE. Like, think about this. The Romans were at war with the Jews? How does it that could have been difficult? And you know, according to history, do you know why everybody is always at war and everybody is always kicking Jews out and all that other stuff? Do you know why everybody hates the Jews so much? I know when it was on the Archie Bunker show and the little, you know, because Archie, the super racist douche, he ends up with a Jewish daughter and a Jewish best friend business partner. The people that surrounded Archie the entire time, the only non-Jew on that show is Carol O'Connor. His daughter, his son-in-law, his wife, they're all Jews in real life. Annoying, awful Jews. Awful. The chick that is a horrible, horrible woman. But then when he gets his new show, now it's his daughter's the Jew, his little the girl that he's, you know, because back in those days, elderly men taking care of little girls that aren't theirs was like normal on TV. That was like, I thought for sure when I grew up and I got old, I'd have some elderly girl come walking through my door, through my window one day. Oh, Punky, you're so punky. Let me take some pictures of you and Cherry. Come on, Punky. Fucking weird. So many shows back in the 70s and 80s were about elderly men, older men hanging out with children. Normalizing that. Children that aren't theirs. And if it wasn't like that, it was shows about children. Why would adults watch Leave It to Beaver? Like, I watch it now from like I'm watching this time capsule, so to speak. I like seeing, like, I'm not entertained by the show. I'm not interested, like, oh man, what's Beaver gonna do next? Oh, it's never like that. To me, it's fascinating to watch, you know, June walk around in her pearls while she cleans the house. You know, the kids, when they go out to play, they have slacks and button-up shirts on. And like the way that they used to try to, you know, the way that they successfully manipulated us into being that McCarthyism society. It's just so fascinating to me. The Jewish-Roman War, 66 to 73, supporting the paleontology and radiocarbon dating of the scrolls. Gotta love that. That trusty radiocarbon dating. You guys are all familiar with radiocarbon dating, right? Like, don't you have a radiocarbon dating machine in your house? You guys don't have the radiocarbon dater? Dude, if you don't have a radiocarbon dater, you're fucking poor. You're a poor loser. I'd love to see the radiocarbon dater. You know, I have something from 10 years ago. I want to see if it... This is from 10 years ago. You think it'll work? Oh, no. It only can pinpoint things in the past. Not like the recent past, but in the past. Past. And see, this is what it always comes down to. You have to believe the narrative you're given because they use science words and shit. It's radiocarbon dating. You're familiar with radiocarbon dating and the process of it, right? It's earned your trust throughout the years. And the paleontology, of course. Or no, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. The paleography. Paleography. I've heard that term before. You've heard the term paleography before, haven't you? Paleography. Owing to the poor conditions of some of the scrolls, scholars have not identified all of their texts. The identified texts fall into three general groups. About 40% are copies of text from Hebrew scripture. Again, didn't they not write things down? Wasn't all Jewish history like oral history? Approximately 30% of the text are from the Second Temple period that ultimately were not canonized in the Hebrew Bible. Like the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilees, the book of Tobit, the Wisdom Sirach, Psalms 152 to 155, etc. Who got to decide that? Do you think that we the people got to decide that? Hey, which one of these scrolls are we going to include and which ones are we going to not? Well, let's talk to Hiram. He knows. Hiram, which scroll should we use? Previously unknown documents that shed light on the rules and beliefs of a particular sect or group, within greater Judaism, like the communal rule, the war scroll, the Pershur on Habakkuk. There's so much to read here. All right, now we're down to the discovery. Here we go. Dun 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 dun. Shit, feed's so fucking choppy today. All right, let's see here. The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in a series of 12 caves around the site originally known as En Feshka, near the Dead Sea in the West Bank, then controlled by Jordan between 1946 and 1956 by Bedouin shepherds and a team of archaeologists. I thought it was a little boy that discovered it. The practice of storing worn-out sacred manuscripts in earthenware vessels buried in the ground or within caves is related to the ancient Jewish custom of Geneza. Yeah, you know, the Jews are the only ones that put their knowledge inside stuff and then buried it. Nobody else did that. No one else did that. Shut up! God. She speaks out of turn all the time like she's not from my fucking rib. Right? You owe your life to my rib, so shut up. When I tell you this, you do what I say. Don't want to be Lilith, do you? Fucking give you the Lilith treatment, bitch. The initial discovery by Bedouin shepherd Muhammad Dib, his cousin Jumad Muhammad, and Khalil Musa took place between November 1946 and February 1947. Isn't the initial discovery of something like this day? How do you discover something for 3 months, 4 months? That's cool. The shepherds discovered 7 scrolls housed in jars in a cave near what is known as the Qumran site. The Qumran site. John C. Trevor. It sounds a little more non-ancient. Morning, fam. Getting ready for work. Well, we're learning about the Dead Sea Scrolls today, so I appreciate you being here, Terry. You always have good things to say, or at least something to say, which I appreciate. You don't even have to say good things. Just say some shit. Whether you agree with me, disagree with me, whatever it may be, I'd love to hear from people. I love knowing what other people's opinions are. Let's see. John C. Trevor reconstructed the story of the scrolls from several interviews with the Bedouins. El-Dibs. EDH-DHIB. If you say, I don't know how to say that. Edidib. Edihib. How do you say that guy's name?
Ed, Ed Dib.
Ed Dib. Okay, Ed Dib. Ed Dib. Ed Dib's cousin noticed the caves, but Ed Dib was the first. The cave, now called Cave 1. See, the thing is, prior to 1946, people didn't know about that shit. Didn't know about those caves that were right there. What's always interesting too is like we got to do the history of Egypt. Did you know that Egypt was basically lost to the world for most of like history? It was like rediscovered. How's that work? Seems like a bunch of lies. But that's because I'm a crazy skeptic, truther, conspiracy theorist. Yeah.